in the middle of a classic draft since I think this Pinball Witch was the one that told me about classic drafts. So I'm trying to finish this up, and my opponent is not trying to finish this up. So I'm moving as quick as I can.
Yeah, Stark pointed out you're not playing duels. You're playing arena.
Did I say whatever?
I thought that was like a menu within arena is like the duels button, but yeah, you. Oh
whatever.
My god. Whatever, same thing, right? Matt the Stack.
Yes.
Hey, Matt the Stack, I hadn't seen you in a minute. This is what renders in Vegas stays in Vegas. Except it didn't. It went to sleep. There's no sleeping in Vegas. So mad though. Anyway. So, is that long enough? That's a minute. What else we got to talk about for another minute or so? Hey, did you guys see the Hearthstone nerfs?
No, what did they nerf?
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, you want to do it in person or you want to do it on digitally again?
Digitally.
It seems to work better.
Pretty well last time.
Yeah. And then we don't have to sit here awkwardly and smell each other.
Mm-hmm.
Or more accurately, we don't have to sit here awkwardly and you smell me. Anyway. They nerfed Equality to 4, Flametongue Kavu, not Flametongue Kavu, Flametongue Totem to 3, Cold Blood to 2, Hunter's Mark to 2. Didn't that used to cost 0?
Yep, Hunter's
Whoever
Mark
thought that was
0.
a good idea. And the Hunter Spellstone to 6. 6? It was 5? Yeah.
6. 5 to 6. Even Spell Hunter.
Shut up, Mike. All right, well that's good enough to be sure that the recording actually started. So let's get started. Ow, jam! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is the Mana Pool number 541. Whew. That is that is not a small number, it turns out. So I am Chewie, the lead dork, and it's just not been a good day. So with me, as always, are some other dorks. Hi, dorks.
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm the lead rambler and tangent master of the group, and Chewie said that a couple times now, so I'm starting to get just a little worried about him. But hey, I'm here. I'm playing a little duels or arena or whatever it's called while I'm trying to finish this up. But I'll be right back with you. Go Gruul. I've got a Rhythm of the Wild out. Woo woo woo. Maybe it won't get blown up this time. Sorry, who's next?
I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy. And someone in the chat is asking, "Oh, no video? Do we not have is the Twitch video stream not up, or are they asking about a video more like Monday Night Magic has?"
I don't know.
I don't know.
But the audio listeners don't care, so ask him in the chat.
And I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group. And week hasn't been too bad, but I've had the joy of getting to call home to all my students who are not passing. So some of them probably have a less than wonderful opinion of me as of this week. Seeing as they get to I get the chance to ruin their. I'm making a B in the class as long as my teacher doesn't say anything to my parents about it. That I'm actually making an F.
Ah.
True story. Had one kid do that. And I'm going for Simic.
So, we're going to start off episode 541 with a Mad Lib.
Yes.
But
So, who's ready? Who's ready for this Mad Lib here?
Not you.
What?
You're playing duels.
Or is it arena? Wait. That doesn't mean I can't participate.
That's true.
Yes.
But you're not running the show. I am. I wrote a Mad Lib for us. So,
Nice. Good job.
dorks, chats, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yes.
Is chat be ready? I can't even English today.
Or they has hamburgers.
What?
Dirk can't even not English today.
I was about to say, I was like, can has burgers? I was like, what was it? How does it go again? My mind's like, it goes like this, and then my mouth's going, blah, 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 blah.
See, your brain knows that you're saying it wrong and is trying to correct you, which makes you say
making
it
me
worse
mumble
wrong.
and stumble through this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so first up, I need dorks. I need a legendary creature.
Oh,
Fumiko the
I'll go
Low
with
Blood.
I heard,
What in the
Fumiko,
blue hell just
something
happened? I heard Fumiko. Okay, so Fumiko the Low Blood. Dirk,
Oh,
what
you didn't
did
hear what
say?
Dirk said?
I said Shog, Goat of Doom.
Nice.
unfortunately not a real creature, but
And then I said, shut up, Dirk.
A valid response.
Thanks,
Oh.
Mike. Love you too.
Oh my god. Okay, tell you what. I'm gonna go to chat
Hey, I
for
don't
this
get
one,
to say shut up to people.
but maybe you should get better at it. All right, you guys have scared me, so I'm gonna go to chat. Chat, give me a plane of magic. Shut up, Mike. Oh, and Rakdos is on his game. He said Innistrad. Okay.
Rakdos is always on his game.
Yeah, I think his
Stark said Theros
connection-
first.
Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't even see that. Whoops.
did.
Sorry. But not Turhos. I can't spell. Dang. Let's start getting in there. Okay. Give me a part of the turn.
That would be the upkeep, sir.
That is a good one. Oh, I got hung in my headphone cable. Hang on. Upkeep, you say? All right, give me. Ow! Give me a legendary land.
Mirrodin's Core. Oh no, that's not legendary.
Oh, it's not legendary. Why is that one not legendary?
The one that's
Huh.
Koda's temple, not Koda's castle from Kamigawa.
Iganjo?
Yes.
What's the full name of that?
I have no idea.
But he'll find out.
I don't have Gatherer open. There we go. Iganjo, it's just Iganjo Castle. Really?
Okay.
Oh, man, you lucked out.
I did not. I wrote Iganjo, comma. Nope. Iganjo Castle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, chat. I don't. Do I trust you guys?
Mm.
Yeah, tell you
Do you
what,
trust
chat.
us?
Give me. I don't trust any of you. Give me. I'm getting
And that's
paranoid
all.
in my old age.
Here's your answer.
Give me a red instant, chat. Massive raid. Oh my god. Is that a red instant?
Sounds familiar. What is that?
Massive raid. Yeah, that's a red instant from Gate Crash. No wonder no one remembers it. Okay. Well done. Dang. All right. Now I need. I'm sorry, that caught me off guard. Now I need a white enchantment.
There's no such thing.
There's at least one, but try not to say that one. That's lame.
Celestial.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's one that has a name like that.
Oh, I thought you were actually going for the select. Well, I don't want to say it now because apparently you don't know it.
Celestial
No.
Visitation?
Is that
Or
an
is that
enchantment?
That's not an enchantment. That's not a card.
So a white.
Oh, it's not.
So a white enchantment. That's what we've tried to establish this whole time, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Oblivion Circle.
Oblivion.
Oblivion Ring.
Obliv-
I'm doing this without Gatherer, man. I'm doing this the honest way.
Wow.
While I'm being attacked by a territorial boar.
At least it's not a giant warthog. Oh my god.
Tear a man in half.
Oh, okay. Just give me a creature.
Celestial Ancient.
Okay, fine. Chat, give me. Chat. Our market research shows the players like really long card names, so we made this card to have the absolute longest card name ever, Elemental. That's a good one. Chat, give me a legendary creature. Marchesa. What's Marchesa's name?
There's a couple.
Oh. The Black Rose. Oh, okay. He finished it up in a second one just so he would get in there first.
Hacks.
All right. Dorks, give me a faction.
Simic.
Nice. All right. Chat, give me a non-guild faction. Oh, yeah, I'm getting all technical up in this piece. Abzan. I like it. Dorks, give me a keyword or ability word.
Ooh.
That does not count.
Fateful Hour.
Okay. What? Give me... I don't even remember what that is. Is that the one when you have 5 or less life?
Yeah, when you have 5 or less life, it does something extra.
Yeah. So I lied. I do remember what that is. Creature type.
Weird.
No. Brian asks for creature types all the time.
Hardy har har har.
Hey chat, give me a land. Urborg. Oh wait, no, I see lantern lit graveyard first. That is a land.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Lantern lit graveyard. Nice. All right, hey Dorks.
I think it's that red-black slow land from Champions of Kamigawa.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Kamigawa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me. Okay, this is a little weird. Give me a converted mana cost.
4.
I like it. Give me. I like the way Mike's like, seriously.
I'm like, just the random, like, we're all sitting there, it was like, 4?
give me a part of the turn.
Cleanup.
Wow.
Cleanup,
Home row keys.
cleanup.
Cleanup. Okay. Give me a green enchantment. That was my elbow.
Frog tongue.
I'm sorry, what?
Frog tongue.
Frog Tongue.
Mike uses it all the time on mine, and I always wait for a chance to do it with somebody else's Mad Lib. So frog tongue, sir.
That is super hot. Yeah, okay, that fits in nicely, oddly enough. Chat, give me... Do I want this one to be chat? Yeah, chat, give me a non-creature artifact. I also got distracted by frog tongue. What? Okay, well, I see 2 soul rings, so I guess we'll soul ring. You might wish you'd save that one, though. Dorks, give me an artifact creature.
Not that one.
Okay.
Sorry. Wait, up.
Triskelion.
Triskelion. All right, give me... Uh-oh. Hang on. Let me make sure that I haven't screwed this up. Okay, no, I didn't. Give me a more different green enchantment. That isn't Frog Town.
Lure. Ah.
Lure. I'm hearing ones we said last week. I'm disappointed. Give me...
Oh.
Give me an artifact that costs 1. Ha! See, you already used Soul Ring, didn't you, nerds?
What's that one that kept showing up in Mike's alliances boosters? Aerial Pile?
No, that's a Fallen Empire card, and that costs 2. Jay Barlow said Manifold in the chat.
Well, good for him then.
Manifold, that works. All right, give me a blue instant.
We did jump last week, so let's not do. Let's do. Is inspiration an instant?
I think so.
I think that
Inspiration.
That's an instant. Yeah. Right, that's the one that's draw 2 cards for 4. That's an instant, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
target
sure.
player draws 2 cards.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, give me a god.
Yes.
Ray.
It took a second for that to register. I was like, what? Squeeze said Mike's god.
Cruffix.
Oh, that's a good one. What is his name? Cruffix.
God of Horizons.
God of Horizons. All right, and give me an incarnation.
Filth.
Oddly enough,
of course.
that's the one that was in my head.
I mean, I feel like it's a little too obvious, but for a reason. So, you know.
All right. So that is our medley.
Nice.
Okay, this I have to try to make myself sound somber. No promises.
This is the hard part for me. Not the writing it down, but the saying it with a straight face.
All right, let me. All right, so this is the title of this, if it must have one, is Obituary.
Oh, you weren't kidding when you said somber.
Yeah. We regret to announce the passing of Fumiko the Lowblood of Theros.
Oh.
Fumiko was found late last upkeep in their home at Ganjo Castle. The cause of death was determined to be a massive raid applied directly to the Oblivion Ring.
Oh. Ooh. Oh.
She is survived by a lone celestial ancient, Marchesa the Black Rose. Fumiko was a stalwart member of the Simic while simultaneously serving in the Abzan, where she was known for fateful houring the weirds of the lantern-lit graveyard. She spent 4 cleanups. Sorry. She spent 4 cleanups at the Frog Tongue Company.
Okay.
She spent 4 cleanups at the Frog Tongue Company. Where she notably improved the design of soul rings and the Triskelions that go along with them.
Huh?
anyone wishing to send lures or mana vaults to the family can please do so via a donation to the Inspiration Foundation.
Oh, now that sounds sweet.
Donation to the Inspiration Foundation.
Foundation.
May Krufix, God of Horizons, bless her and all her filth.
Oh. Oh.
Huh. So after last week's, 45-minute epic
Masterpiece.
Yeah, she just masterpiece. We should just go short and sweet. Stark said, "May Krufix bless her and her stank stench." Squee said, "I don't know about you guys, but I feel inspired right down to the foundation." Yeah, you do. When you said inspiration, I was like, really?
Yeah. The Inspiration Foundation.
To the
I mean, that sounds like
Inspiration
a thing that could really exist, and this is what they would do. So, whoop, there's mine.
As Brian throws his microphone or something in the floor. Hang on, I'm going to look and see if the Inspiration Foundation is a thing. It is! Nice.
Topical.
All right, then. Anyway. So, what else? Hi, guys.
Hello.
So last
That's our
week,
show tonight, folks.
do what?
That's our show tonight, folks.
That's our show. We applied a massive raid directly to the Oblivion Ring. Buh. Also, when you said massive raid and I verified that was in fact a real thing, I had to hold it real hard because I knew where it was going. Okay, so last week we did There's No Plane Like Home for Theros, where we discussed what it would be like as a normal person type thing, living amongst the others on Theros, where the gods are there and are real, and how that would affect everything, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We were originally going to do 2 planes last week, but because of 1, the Epic Length Mad Lib, and 2, we really dove into the Theros discussion.
We did.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough time, to do the second one. So I thought, why don't we just do it this week, and it'll be a nice, a 2-part. I'm trying to think of a specific word that is just
Dovetail
not
or
that's
sequel?
like.
up.
Well, I'm thinking of a thing that's two parts.
Duology.
Diptych.
That's the one, actually. Thank you, Mike.
Is that?
That
you
is,
actually
yeah.
said a real word. Wow.
Yeah, it's like
What's
not
that?
a.
Oh, like a triptych, but
Yeah,
diptych.
but there's only 2.
A diptych, yeah.
It just sounds made up.
Yeah. It does. It sounds. It's
It
a funny
does.
word. Anyway, I
I
thought they
you
would
were
be
saying a very naughty word, Mike.
a dip. What? Shut up, Mike. Anyway, so to go along with that, let's talk about the other plane where the gods are actually just right there, wandering around amongst the people, literally in this case. Let's go to Amonkhet.
Yes.
A world where nothing could possibly go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, I mean, totally. Everything, we're all fine here. How are you? So, tell us, you guys, what would it be like for a normal person to live on Amonkhet? Like, where do we start with Amonkhet?
Now, I'm assuming that we're talking about the time prior to the Hour of Devastation, because we don't really know what the world is like after Nicol Bolas showed up and the world went to hell. I'm also assuming that we're primarily focusing on the time after he arrived, right before the mending, and basically wiped out their culture and started over, because again, there's a lot of unknowns to previous. We can touch on some of that, especially when we get to the gods, as far as how they used to be or what we know about how they used to be, but I'm assuming the bulk of this discussion will focus on how life was really during Amonkhet block. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, we don't know what it's
that's-
like since, and we don't know much about what it was like before, so.
Right.
Yeah, that's all the information we have to work with.
Just want to be clear. So, if you're an average citizen of Amonkhet, much like as on Theros, you actually know that the gods exist because they are actually present in your world. If anything, it seems to be more the fact that, on Theros, you are aware that the gods are there and you see their influence in your life, but you don't really always see Krufix just like strolling down the street to the market. Whereas, especially in the central city that Amonkhet's story takes place in, you could literally bump into these gods. They are like front and center in your daily lives, and sometimes you'll be taking classes with them and teaching and learning from them, or else you might just see them around. One in what was the white reprint? The cycling spell, you gain life, reward the faithful, where the depiction of that at the beginning of Amonkhet block actually it's a story spotlight card, and Gideon sees, I believe it's Oketra, and he feels this peace, this sense of hope that he hasn't felt in a long time, because here are gods, and he grew up in a world with gods, but here's a god that is among the people, and he is just kind of blown away by that.
Yeah,
so
it actually seems to care about the people for real.
Yeah, like it seems invested in their well-being. The gods on Theros are invested to the point that they get what they want from their worshippers, but as we talked about a lot last week, most of them are not concerned with humans because they see the humans and the other races, merfolk, tritons, etc., as beneath the gods, whereas these gods see themselves more as supporting the humans, supporting the people that fall under their protection and guiding them on the path, which is you want to talk about the daily life of a citizen on Amonkhet. The word is training.
Yeah.
And it is literally your entire life. For those that don't know, there were originally 8 gods, and Nicol Bolas showed up right before the mending, and he had this plan in place, and it turns out Amonkhet he intended to basically make a factory of soldiers for him for later. And so he attacked the plane and used his power to subdue the gods and wiped most of their memories, removed 3 entirely, and completely broke them down and rebuilt them for later. And we don't even know their names anymore, now that we just know them as the Locust God, the Scarab God, and the Scorpion God. Be like you just being known by your title. Hi, bearded one. Oh, wait, that applies to like 3 of you, but yeah.
And yet, look who answered.
And yet, well, there you go. But he's not Mike anymore. He's the Beard God, which would be kind of epic, but gets confusing if there's more than one. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So that's all right. So we don't even know their names. And then the others were Oketra, Kefnet, Hazaret, Bontu, and Ronus. They all kept, all of them except for Bontu had their memories wiped by Bolas, and all of them were kind of given a new purpose, whereas they kept a lot of their central identity as far as what their strengths were and their purview. It was all refocused toward what Bolas had in mind. Then he looked around the plane and said, okay, anyone over the age of, I think, like 2 or something, maybe even 1, you're gone. And he did the Thanos thing, except not half. more like, you know, all. So, spoiler alert, by the way. Not that anyone hasn't seen that movie by
Mike.
now. Or at
I
least
have no idea what you're talking about.
or at least seen the previews for it.
Seriously, Mike, you want to come over this weekend? It's on Netflix, dude.
I
We'll
have
just
been
watch it.
offered, I have been offered the last 3 weeks, and he's like,
I know there's always
"This
something going on.
Yeah,
I'm going to be in Charlotte hanging out with Austin and Gabe this weekend. So
They'll watch it with you, dude.
Are you gonna? All right, this is like 2 seconds, man. Are you gonna be able to make the 16?
sorry, I meant to talk to you about that earlier. No.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that later then. Okay, so, but anyway, Nicol Bolas basically remade this world to serve his purposes. This is your company being bought out by another company, and instead of the company being, you know, like canning tuna fish, it's internet security now. It's complete reworking from the ground up. So now,
Hmm.
when you're an average citizen and you live on Amonkhet, your entire focus is on training your body and your mind into being the best warrior possible. And each of the gods oversees some part of this training, and has some kind of focus on some aspect that a warrior would appreciate. And I'm looking at the names of the gods now, and I thought it would say it, but the names are not necessarily. I know, like, for Bantu is the god of ambition. So a warrior, you know, should strive to be the best. You shouldn't just be content with being one of a crowd, one of a company. You should be the best there possibly is. And then so they train them, but they also have these trials. And when you overcome that trial, you show that you really exemplify that kind of trait. And Bantu, Gideon was actually partaking of these trials, and he got to Bantu, and he saw that you could not pass Bantu's trial without purposely killing some of your other crop mates, which is what they're called, because they're being raised in crops. Just let that sink in, for crops of warriors. And part of being in a crop is you weed out the unworthy, the ones that don't make it. And everybody can get to the end of Bantu's trial, and then he's like, great, turn to your neighbor, it's like the first day of orientation, look to your left, look to your right, except it's stab to your left, stab to your right.
Look to your left. Now look to your right. One of you three won't be here in 30 seconds. What?
Yeah.
And how long, sir?
And at that point, Gideon said, I'm out. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So each of them exemplifies one of these traits. Where are these traits actually written down? Is it in the temples, or I feel each one of these has that title, but it's not in their name. It's like Bantu the Glorified, Hazrat the Fervent, or is it just that they're?
Yeah, it's the trial. I think you can find them in the names of the trials and the cartouches.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, there was evidence that some of the characters uncovered. I can't remember if it was it was some combination of Nisachandra and Samut, I think. There is evidence that these trials were already part of the culture on Amonkhet before, but it was something that would happen like every several years as some part of big special thing.
Yeah.
But like Brian said, Nicol Bolas has turned this into a factory. So this is something that goes on every single day, constantly churning out new champions and weeding out the ones that aren't as strong.
Right. I believe it said in the story article where Nicol Bolas it explained him coming to the plane. He looked inside the minds of the citizens just for something that would work, and he found some sort of ritual that was very seldomly practiced, and he's like, that'll do. That's your life now. So, and part of the reason for for killing anyone that was old enough to think for themselves, that wasn't going to be growing up into this lifestyle. This is all anyone has really known for X years since the mending, basically.
And real quick, the flavors are ambition, knowledge, zeal, solidarity, and strength.
Yes. Which, thanks to Mike, I pulled up the list of cartouches. So thank you, Chewie. So each one, one exemplifies. He said he's a helper. But the final glory is when you have passed the other 4 trials. The final trial is a battle royale in front of Hazaret. And if you are one of the very, very lucky ones that makes it to the end and unblemished, which is part of it. If you've made it and you are whole and you have survived and performed admirably, your prize is to be killed by Hazaret.
Sick. Wait, what? Hold up.
So, and when you are killed by Hazaret and you have not lost an arm, a leg, an eye, anything like that, you are you are revered as the best of the best, and your people remember you, and your body is to be carried through the gate to the afterlife, which is what it's called, to await for the second coming when the God Pharaoh returns. How does a society function, Mike, when every day all of its citizens are simply training? Who takes out the trash? Who makes food? Who raises the kids? How does that work? Who does that?
You have some kind of slave class or other working class.
Whoa, that's messed up.
Well, yeah, it is.
Somebody's got to do it.
This actually got me to think. I was reading something not too long ago, and I remembered this earlier as we started to talk about this, about the way Sparta was set up. You had your Spartan citizens who spent most of their time training, and you had the helots, who were basically this quasi-slave class who, did all the farming and menial stuff to support the city-state. And I got to thinking about that when we were talking about how Amonkhet was set up. So one of the other things that Nicol Bolas did when he killed all the older people to restart things was that he also raised the dead that were entombed in the crypts and catacombs below the city of Noctimun. Noctimun is where all this action takes place. It's pretty much the only habitable city left on Amonkhet that we know about. And he raised those mummified dead as the servant class. And while the trials are ongoing, also the people who die in the trials get mummified, and they become part of that class as well. I forget what the name, what the in-world name for those mummies
the revered
were.
dead, perhaps.
I thought there was something else.
It has a name.
Something snappier.
But Gideon notices that all the mummies that are waiting on them, taking care of them, have some sort of
anointed. There you go.
All of the anointed, which look like mummies that are waiting on them, are missing a hand or a leg or something. So the ones that don't get entombed in the final boss, congratulations, you beat the game. Your second quest is to be dead. Anyone that doesn't get that far gets brought back as an anointed, and they basically take care of everyone else. Real quick, I just kind of joined the Twitch a little late this morning, but World Gorger Dragon raises an interesting question, especially if you're talking about the mechanics of this world. So, how do you have the time to have kids, especially if the last trial killed by the red? And I think that's...
Wait, hang on. You fuzzed out. He said, especially if the last trial's reward was to be killed by the red god. Okay.
Yeah. And that's a good question. I think that you're not expected to reach the end of these trials until your very late teens, early 20s. So if this is how this world has been operating for a while, we can only assume that kids are, that that teens of I guess fertile age are expected to start having kids sooner rather than later, and perhaps that's part of the society. Well, I mean, you need
and you don't have traditional family units anyway. You just have your crop mates that you train with,
right,
and then the little kids are raised by the anointed.
yeah. So you don't have any family attachments, which I'm sure is part of the whole plan, because you're loyal purely to the gods and to the god Pharaoh. But from a purely technical question standpoint, that is a good question, because you gotta have kids. If anybody has read, there's a short story by Stephen King called The Children of the Corn, and it's been made into a couple different movies, and then some of those movies had sequels that get way away from it. But basically, these kids in this one town are seduced by some kind of demon or devil that calls itself the Walker Among the Rows, and they are convinced that their parents are all sinners, so they need to kill all the parents. So they take over. It's this little remote town with no connections to the outside world. They kill all the parents, and then the Walker Between the Rows, who speaks through one of the children as a prophet, demands that anyone over the age of 18 be allowed to walk into the corn, where supposedly they'll be devoured by the demon or something. So he keeps the population from getting old. And then as the children have accidentally let someone in that could have spoiled the whole thing, after he took care of it, he said, all right, guess what? The age is now 17. So it's a way of kind of keeping the population under control. And as a result, you have, how does Stark say in the chat, babies having babies. You have these kids that, in what our society would consider to be too young, having the kids and continuing the cycle. So there you go. Things you don't always think about, and creative probably spend a little bit of time thinking about, but I don't think that really makes it onto a story spotlight card, and that may be for the best. So, but anyway, so you've got
Open anything good? Why don't you have a seat over there?
There's not a god of that, but all right. So
anymore.
All right. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
No wonder I hated the Scarab God so much.
Okay. All right. So we're moving on now. Right. So you got the ordinary citizens that are basically bred and raised to be warriors. Their day-to-day needs were completely taken care of by the anointed. When you die, you either become an anointed to serve the others, or if you're super good at what you do, congratulations. Your body is coated or otherwise supplied with some kind of rare metallic armor. Do you recall what the name for that armor was, Mike? What that material
Unobtainium
was?
No, wait.
Stupid. I'm sorry. Anybody that thinks that Avatar was really clever,
Start with the L.
Lazatep. Thank you, Jay
Lazatep.
Barlow.
Yeah.
And it turns out this has a very insidious purpose, but it's part of honoring the dead. Spoiler alert, when Nicol Bolas comes back, it's kind of revealed that he has then allowed the Scarab God to raise all of these elite warriors. And one of the functions of the planar gate, ever since the nature of the multiverse has changed, and even planeswalkers now are the only living things that can go into the blind eternities. Used to be you could have the Phyrexian gates and things like that. Those don't even work anymore. The planar gate works similarly, but you can't bring organic material through. So you take undead warriors that are no longer living and you coat them in something that's not alive. Think of the Terminator. Only kind of reverse. Only organic matter can pass through, right? So what do? We put them in meat. Until it gets to T1000 and we kind of forget that rule, but whatever. So
if it's the same color as meat,
it's flesh colored. Yeah, there you go.
Spray paint these T800s.
So I feel like this discussion has been a lot of recap so far, but comparing it to some of the other planes is kind of interesting, because we talk on Theros about, there's the gods, but people still lead their lives. You still got to have to have a merchant. You still have to have someone to grow your crops. And in Amonkhet, You don't need that. You don't need someone selling you anything. You don't need someone to cook your breakfast because that's what the mummies are for.
Yeah.
So,
And the mummies are also partly animated and partly controlled by the Lazatep cartouches that they wear.
yes.
So yeah, Lazatep has various magical properties, and part of that is you can control. It helps you control stuff.
I believe in the story, Liliana is kind of excited to be here at first because she's like, there's all these undead things. You know, who has two thumbs that can control the undead like nobody's business? This girl. But she's exploring the tomb with Jace, and she's realizing, she's like, I don't have any influence over these things. This is not good. And that's when she realized, kind of reading some of the cartouches, what was going on, and what the demon's true purpose was there that she came to hunt down. And she's like, this may not have been a good idea. So
yeah, she was doing better. She was able to do a little bit better when they were outside the city walls, outside the magical barrier, the Hekma.
Yeah,
but still wasn't quite there because the undead on the plane that weren't under the control of anyone from the Lazatep were really, really strong-willed just because of the bizarre undeath magic that the plane was infused with.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit. There's zombies and there's zombies. So you mentioned earlier the name of the city.
Why did I find that funny? You said there's zombies, and then there's zombies.
So that we have this city that's protected by the barrier. What is life like for anyone living outside the city?
You end up dying really quick.
Okay, good.
Because outside the city are wild animals, vicious monsters, demons, and wild roaming zombies. And I can't remember the special in-world name for them either right now. But they wander outside in the wastes outside the Hekma, and it's just awful out there. So it's implied that there used to be a lot of other cities that looked like Noctimun before Nicol Bolas showed up, but Noctimun is the only one left. There you can see the ruins of Ifnir, Ramanap, Ipnu, and other places nearby, but no people live there. It's just, Stark suggests, the unanointed. I don't know if that's it, but whatever.
I don't think they had a name, did they?
Maybe not.
We don't talk about that.
It's just horrible monsters and environmental threats out there. It's not safe. You can't live out there.
It's just a giant desert. It's a wasteland, right?
Yes.
So this planet is Tatooine. You've got one Mos Eisley, and everywhere else is just everywhere else. So yeah, when the gate, I almost said the Great Gate Crash. When the Gate Watch pop down, they find themselves in the middle of the desert. They start wandering around, and they run into stuff right away. And they all would have died had it not been for one of the gods showing up and saving them. And that was when Gideon's like, gods, there are gods here. And they're not complete dicks as far as I can tell. But, you know.
As far as he can tell.
And then everybody at the in the city, Noctimun, was like, the people that saw them were like, where are you from? And they're like, outside the barrier. And they're like, haha, that's funny. Where are you from? And they're like, outside the barrier. So they're kind of the subject of a lot of fascination at first.
They're like, no, seriously, you're not funny. Where are you from?
Yeah. So, if you live on Amonkhet and you live anywhere but Noctimun, you're dead. If you leave Noctimun somehow, you're dead. If you live in Noctimun, you're training until your training kills you, or you complete your training, and then you're dead. It is a vicious. I would say it's a cycle, except that implies that there's some sort of renewal, and it's not a very healthy thing. It's more just imagine a plane just literally stacking up with the dead. I think at one point Nissa is trying to communicate with the plane and the energy of the plane, and something is trying to cut her off, and she's like, "This something here is corrupted beyond anything I've ever seen anywhere else." And then it's just the dead are just everywhere. The dead are so tied to this plane, and something is making it so that the dead can't sleep. And we're not even talking about like Innistrad, like, we want the blessed sleep. No, it's more like, no, this plane is so connected with death that all of life is just looking forward, thinking about facing death. Who?
You all right there, Brian?
Yeah, just kind of somber. I guess the Mad Lib was really appropriate. But yeah, your whole lives are just spent on this.
I will totally take credit and say I did that deliberately.
What about the gods themselves? The gods on Theros were selfish, and they were they were not at all concerned with the needs of petty humans. They considered themselves above humans, but ironically, they were more petty and more caught up in quote unquote human concerns or individual concerns than lots of ordinary people would be. They were kind of ideals taken to extremes. If you're the god of anger, you're going to be angry all the time. But at least
so wait, what's the god of beards?
Mike, thought we settled this.
Yeah, but what? Is he beard all the time?
Yes. I actually saw with a beard without a beard one time, and I'm like, you look so baby faced. I was like, who are you? That was like 15 years ago. Anyway, but say this for the gods on Theros, except for like Mogus, most of the time they didn't bother to go around and like kill humans like en masse, whereas the gods here will protect you until it's time to kill you, and then so be it.
Well, except for Erebos, but that was kind of his job, so.
Yeah. Well, he didn't really go out to kill you.
That's true.
He never even left the underworld. He had to send his agents.
That's true.
So, we don't have any. We talked last week about how the gods on Theros really sprang into being from the hopes and dreams and ideas and theories and beliefs of the people that inhabited the plane. We don't really know where the gods on Amonkhet came from, because so much of the very beginning of the plane is completely unknown to us, because the earliest point we really have is Bolas showing up and saying, you've got a nice place here, but give me a day and I can fix it up and increase the retail value. And he basically went all HGTV on the plane, but more remaking it in his own image. So we don't really know a whole lot about previous. We don't know where these gods came from. Perhaps they were actually created by the plane itself. The plane, when Nissa got in contact with the natural energy of the plane, seemed pissed off and referred to Bolas as the interloper and said something about he took 3 of my children or something to that effect. I don't want to put words in the story that aren't there, but before we even knew what the other 3 gods were, there was some indication that Nicol Bolas had taken something away from the plane that was vital to it before. And those 3 gods and whatever they were doing before probably brought some sort of balance to the others. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah.
Thinking, let's back up a bit and
sure, go right ahead.
Talk about some general stuff, like the general setting. So, Amonkhet is themed. The theme is based on, real world Egypt, ancient Egypt, and I guess what you would call pre-Hellenic Egypt. So early to early mid, I guess late-ish Bronze Age. But the culture there did change quite a bit after it was heavily influenced by the Greeks led by Alexander and then the Roman Empire. But this setting is before all that. So again, a low-tech world, Bronze Age. You have, under normal circumstances, as Brian mentioned earlier, you would have your merchants and farmers and shepherds and whatnot, but that's just not how it works. The anointed do all the grunt work, and the citizens of Noctimun train. Kind of like I alluded to Sparta earlier, the Spartans and the Helots. So, and unlike Theros, where we could say, yeah, people still have their normal everyday concerns about, work and getting food and, the threats of war and disease and other conflicts. That's normal concerns. Most normal concerns are completely alien to the people in Amonkhet.
Yeah.
The way we see it now. Just because their culture has been so warped by Bolas's
conditioning.
Yeah, by Bolas's conditioning and Bolas's what are they called? The Eternals. Bolas's Eternal manufacturing program. And so it's hard to identify with the people because they just think about the same things that we do. They don't have the same concerns that we do because the lives they live are just really weird.
Which is an interesting concept because you and I look at this and we go, "Oh God!" And looking at a lot of the comments, people kind of get it. World Forger Dragon says, "You are born to die," which we look at this and it's terrifying, and yet for these people, they don't know anything about war because there's no other societies to go to war with. They don't know anything about hunger because all of their needs are provided for. I'm sure there's some sort of status and in class fighting because you want to be the very best, the best there ever was. Catching them all and that sort of stuff. You live to please the gods. So I'm sure there's some of that there, but you don't have a lot of the material concerns that people have on other planes because for the most part, all of your material needs are provided for. And and it's very easy to see. Even Gideon was taken in on this at first because he's like, wow, these people have it really well. They are so disciplined. There was so much here about them that he respected that he didn't really even get the sense of something is really wrong the way that the others did because he just saw these people and how they were living their lives and how they were not subject to so many of the other problems that he saw on other planes that he's like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
He's like, dude, of course, man. They go to the gym all the time. These are my people.
So, but he didn't even he was not convinced it was really wrong until again the trial of ambition. But if you're just living there, you don't really have much cause to concern. Separate and apart from the blind faith of the people to the gods, which was very evident through the story. You just didn't question anything, not because you get punished, but you just didn't. This was life, And
on other planes, these people would be considered complete psychos. In the Jund region in Alara, if a goblin that runs the goblin, there might be a goblin that's like, oh, I'm going to run to the top of that hill and an awesome dragon is going to eat me and it's going to be sweet. Or in Ravnica, a Rakdos cultist is like, okay, here's my big break. I get to perform in front of Rakdos and he's going to go crazy and kill a bunch of people, probably me included. This is going to be awesome. No. You're insane. No. And other people who live on those planes rightfully regard those individuals as insane, but it's normal here.
It's normal here because the gods are providing everything you could ever want, and all they ask is that you live your life in the way that they have deemed the fullest, that you give the best service you can, to the God Pharaoh, and your reward is going to be the best dang sweet afterlife you could ever hope for.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a pretty sweet gig. If you don't know any better. So, and if you don't know about other planes, if this is all you've ever known, you're not going to know any better. Stark makes a good point that this is not has not been one of the typical Life on X plane episodes, simply for some of the reasons that Mike and I have tried to enumerate. That these guys live incredibly focused lives on every other plane, even Innistrad, even where you're like, am I going to get eaten today? No, cool. That's a good day then. You still have people, going between towns and trading, and some people are priests and other that. This is literally so entirely focused. It is insane. This is what you do. This is why you do it. Sit down, shut up, and get it done. So I agree. It's been a very different kind of episode, and I appreciate you bearing with us. But
someone way long ago in the chat, I can't remember who it was at this point, said it's like a combination of the Olympics and Survivor.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Except Survivor is not a clever name.
No.
Well, and Survivor,
wait,
you get $1 million.
Survivor is a clever name because there are none.
Survivor, I think you win $1 million.
It's called Survivor in air quotes.
Amonkhet, the Amonkhet version of Survivor is, as we have said a couple times, congratulations, you're dead now. But you're a special dead. You're not ordinary dead. So
yeah.
Now, not to get too philosophical, this is not at all. I do not want to get into this for more than like a second. But again, in the real world, people have very strong opinions based on what they think will happen to them when they die. So, with that taken into consideration, and not judging or saying anything about any one particular person's belief about that at all, I'm just saying that is an example of why it is incredibly realistic to me that if this is what you were brought up to believe, that you would feel like this is important. This isn't just important. This is your whole life. Because what is more important? 20 years of your life that are going to be really hard, but you're going to do everything you can to prove yourself, or the rest of your existence, which is, in theory, forever if you do a good job. So, yeah. I guess we can take a quick note here. Anyone want to have any? Well, does anyone have any comments about life on Amonkhet during what I would call the Bolas years, the years since the mending, before the Hour of Devastation? Does anyone else have any comments on what life was like for people then?
Why? Where are you planning on going?
If we felt like we had covered that, I didn't know if we wanted to speculate a little bit on what we think it might look like going into the future based purely on the information we've been given by the story. Or do you think that
after the Hour of Devastation?
Right. Or do you think that would not be a very productive conversation? I just didn't know if I personally had a lot more to say about this.
Ever played a Fallout game?
No. I've heard of Fallout. I've never played it.
I mean, it opens.
Is that the one with the guy with the blue guy with the thumb up? I've never understood what that reference is. The guy that's looking all chipper. He looks
that's
like a.
I almost called him Fallout Boy.
Something?
No, that's a band. That's
something else.
Oh, you mean the Pete guy? Yeah. That's a Pete Wentz or whatever. Yeah.
I have no idea who's in Fallout Boy. Do you? That scares me slightly. And that's Fallout Boy.
Hey, their music isn't bad.
But Fallout is all of the Fallout games take place after the nuclear devastation of the states. So I assume it would look similar to that, where everything is horrible.
That is a very good possibility. Now, Bolas wanted the Scorpion God to wipe out all the other gods. That was literally the Scorpion God's repurposed purpose. Find the other gods, you kill the. He's a god terminator. And thanks in part to some of the Gatewatch and who's the new planeswalker? Samut.
Salmon.
Salmon. Hazaret survived, which was not. It's strongly implied that was not what Bolas wanted to have happen, and she managed to lead some survivors out of the city. So, as bad as things are, as bad as things look, there is still some glimmer of hope for those people, and there's a question of what do they do next, which is, I guess, where I was going with that. But part of it is unknown because I could see on a return to Amonkhet, perhaps they discover another civilization that Bolas didn't bother with. He either didn't take it into account or he didn't realize it was there or something. Or it's these survivors like intense, trying not to die. But the chance of them surviving with Hazaret is so much better than without, because you think about the trouble that the Gatewatch got into when they popped down originally. First of all, they weren't entirely prepared for what they saw, but also they nearly died if it wasn't for the intervention of one of the gods. Might have even been Hazaret, I'm not sure.
Yeah. The Hour of Devastation was really, really super traumatic. Like, first of all, it's been explained to you that the reason for the trials, the sole reason, is to determine who's the best and take them off to a glorious afterlife after they die their noble death. But then when the hour finally comes for everything to be revealed, the people all basically looked towards heaven, and instead the gates of hell opened up and everyone came back to kill.
Yeah. The people that they had venerated, the people that they had put on pedestals, this was their hall of fame, and it's like your hall of fame came back. Your pro league has come back for the purpose of killing you in the most efficient way possible.
You heard it here first, folks. After the first Mythic Invitational, the members of the Magic Pro League will rise up and destroy the world.
There you go. Hey, man, if LSV comes for me, you better believe I'm just going to start running the other way. So,
I don't think LSV's in the MPL, is he?
He's not? Well, I'm voting for him. I don't get a vote, though, do I?
No, it's the Hall of Famers who will rise up and
the Hall of Famers will rise up and is LSV in the Hall of Fame?
I can see Brian Kibler riding on an undead dragon for my throat, and that's a terrifying thought.
With Shiro sitting next to him.
Aw, I for one welcome our new Shiro overlords. He's cute. So if we're joking around a little bit, but obviously, as World Forge of Dragon says, you just found out that your whole life was a lie. Your only purpose that you ever conceive of no longer exists. So,
and in the melee, the gods who you had seen every day walking around, interacting with you, teaching you, helping you, they all get killed too.
They epitomized the best thing you could ever hope to be. Yeah. And they're gone.
Yeah, Hazaret escapes, and Bontu, I don't think the plan, well, I don't know what Nicol Bolas' plan was, but Bontu certainly didn't think part of the plan was for her to die, because she helped conspire with Nicol Bolas. But even she didn't make it.
From something he said, I think that he didn't really intend to keep her around.
Yeah, probably.
She was more just, you're convenient because you'll keep an eye on the other gods, and you're the god of ambition. So, if you stick with me, you'll be okay. JK, I'm JK Bolas. JK Bolas. I'm Nicol Bolas, and I look out for me and mine alone. And in the end, you're not. So, oops. So the way I read the story was he was never going to keep her around, or at best he was going to ignore her because he couldn't really take her to another plane anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty well implied that there's literally no one alive left in the city. The only chance you even possibly had was to get out. It's in like in one of those
to follow
Hazaret
outside. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at some point, the Army of Eternals is going to leave. When Nicol Bolas uses the planar gate to take them to wherever he planned on. I mean, spoilers, it's probably Ravnica.
It's probably around
wherever he planned to take them next to start his assault on other planes.
Right. Now it's interesting because the not the scorpion god, not the locust god, the last one, the
Scarab.
The scarab god is the one that actually is it implied to control the Eternals. So I don't know if Bolas either feels like he doesn't need the scarab god's help anymore now that he's there, or if he's intending somehow to transport the scarab god. Or maybe that's even why he was so intent on getting Liliana to come with him. Because he's like, hey, guess what? You belong to me now. And if you even think, if the germ of a thought starts to form in your head that you will betray me, you'll be dead before you can even think of a way to do it. It may be that he's intending to let her have some control over them because, as we said, necromancy is kind of her thing. So if he kind of lets her take the reins, so to speak, that may be her purpose. So, no, we'll see. We're getting closer. War for the Spark thing, Allspike, Spark, Megatron, whatever is coming in a couple months. So, but yeah. So, you've got a couple people still alive with Hazaret. There may be some other survivors in the city, but pretty much everyone else is dead. So it's gone from fairly idyllic, training camps. You serve the gods with all your heart and soul and purpose, and everything else is provided for you, to probably every minute of your day is a struggle for survival.
Yeah, and besides, even if the Eternals did leave the city at some point, the Heckma was destroyed.
Yeah.
The Locust God destroyed the Heckma, so there's no barrier protecting them from the wastes anymore.
Yeah.
So they've still got that complication.
That's a nice way of putting it. Complication.
I just wanted to check and make sure Dirk was alive.
I am.
Okay.
Their lives are pretty much a living hell, so they're literally living in some circle of hell because it's got to be rough.
This would not have been a fun plane to have lived on.
No. Really does make me wonder what it was like before Bolas messed it up. I mean,
was gonna say it wouldn't be that it wouldn't have been a nice plane to live on, because you wouldn't have known any better. It'd have been great.
Yes. You live among gods. Your every needs are taken care of. You are able to focus your entire life on your own betterment and the betterment of the people around you is really how you look at it, because you're serving the gods. You're not serving some sort of political figure that may or may not have your best interest. You are literally serving the embodiment of some kind of ideal. If you don't know that there can be any more to life, that there may be some insidious purpose behind it, you are probably thinking that you are living the best possible life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you were one of the ones who was, quote unquote, lucky enough to get stabbed in the head before the hour of devastation happened, you would have been pretty well satisfied with the life you led.
Squeeb makes a good point. Admittedly, the multiverse in general is kind of awful. Life is certainly easier for citizens on some planes than others, but the nature of the game is based around conflict. This trading card game that all the story is based around is a combat-based system. You don't win games with diplomacy points or, having the most civilizations or developing the first cold stone, Sorry, that was an old penny arcade. But so from a story standpoint, if there's no conflict, there's nothing to do. In addition to that's just a storytelling trope in general, because you need to have some impetus to move the story forward. If your entire story is everything is wonderful, then that's either a biography, a tour book, or a children's book. And even children's books usually have some kind of moral. So to have a moral, you almost always have to have some kind of conflict. You got to be able to say, Billy Bob did this wrong. Billy Jean did it right. So. So yeah, the multiverse can be kind of a rough place. This would not have been the worst one, but it's one of those ones where as soon as you've seen how the sausage is made, there's no going back. As soon as you know that your gods were corrupted, how do you even live with that? You know, how do you move past that? I don't know the answer to that question, by the way. That would be very difficult. So
I'm fairly certain there are several works of fiction about that very thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Everything seems great. Everybody serves the machine. The machine has your best interest at heart, and one person goes, "Wait a minute. What if it's not great?" And all of a sudden, their life is terrible. I know that Chewie has not watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, has no interest in it. And one of the characters on the show called Angel got his own spin-off series that actually was pretty good in its own right. It's been over for over like 10 years now, so here come some spoilers. But in the, I think, second to last season of that show, after lots and lots and lots of buildup, like over several seasons, a deity shows up, and as soon as you see her, you know everything's going to be right. And she was basically allowing the world to come to world peace. And then one person gets a look at her and is exposed to some of her blood, and it breaks the glamour on her, and sees that this is not right. And her world is literally becomes much like these people, a living hell, except it's one of these stories where everybody else is still drinking the Kool-Aid. So how then do you convince the entire world that this is not right? And even as she starts to show people that, some of them are like, I wish you had not shown me, because life was much better before I knew the truth. So it's one of those things where even if you knew, even if you had ventured outside of the city and seen some of the carvings that depicted Nicol Bolas as the outsider, would you even want to change your life? Because you've devoted so much of it to these ideals. Would you even want to know that it was not really going to go the way you wanted it to? So,
yeah, every once in a while you do get one, like Samet. That's a good example, but it's very rare. Very rare.
Huh.
Yeah. So, not the worst plane to live on, but I mean, if you were,
But you're gonna die violently.
Yeah, but you're gonna die violently on a lot of these planes.
No, but like you will, like 100%. There's a 100% chance of you dying violently on this plane.
That is true. That is true. I mean, on Innistrad, you might make
99.9, 100.
Innistrad, you might make it to old age. Theros, for all of its other problems, you know, you are perfectly capable of living a happy and full life. A happy and full life ends at what, 18 to 20 years old with a spear to the head. And that's if you don't die before then, or I'm fairly certain that if you let's say you're in one of the trials and you lose some sort of limb and you could still in theory keep living, you may be put out of your misery because the gods, you wouldn't be of service to the gods that way. So
yeah, like there are some elders that you see here and there, like people who are a little bit older who aren't really part of the system as much. Like Hapatra is one of those people. There are other Kefnet. There are sages who work at Kefnet's temple who are like that, but those are really, really niche roles in the society.
That's true. I'm glad you brought that up. So
it's just a very small handful of people, and we aren't given any explanation to how they come into those roles.
Right.
But it's a very, very small handful of people.
I would almost have to imagine, and this is pure speculation on my part, so don't be thinking that this is canon, but
Don't
that
add him.
someone that showed exemplary skills and was unable to complete the trials, or otherwise had some sort of special knowledge, like the lady that was in charge of the poisons, for example, um, had some sort of knowledge that made them unique. That, while maybe didn't make them essential, made them more valuable to keep around.
Mm-hmm.
And so. Sorry, I just read Squeeze's latest remark. Hey, Bill.
Oh, what's that?
Well, he's talking about, I think he's drawing an analogy to New Phyrexia as far as the
It's being born again.
being born again and following a purpose and a mission blindly from when you were indoctrinated. And he says, in quotes, "I don't remember what it was like before I was completed, but now I've got purpose. Phyrexian oil helped me get my life together. Jingataxius is my anti-drug." So,
Jesus. Anybody else worry about Bill? Anyone?
A couple times.
he's fine. I mean, he's got at least 3 more limbs and they're all metallic, but he's fine. Oh dear Lord, a completed version of Squee Goblin Naboob. I want to see that on a card. That's twisted.
It's twisted that you want to see it on a card? Yes.
Yes. Isn't that what it's called? Naboob? Nabob? I don't know. How do you pronounce that? Nabob. Naboob. Okay, whatever. It's a goblin thing. Is that a real world name that they used, or was it something
Nabob?
they made
Yeah,
up?
I think it's like South Asian or something. Maybe. I don't know if I'm getting that right.
Okay.
Yeah, Naboo is where Princess or Queen Amidala ruled.
Yes, and Naboob is Jar Jar Binks.
Right. Well, we've talked about Jar Jar Binks. I think we're done now. Once again, I just want to say I feel like this one did not go the way that a lot of these have, but ultra super focus when a world is more about being a factory for Nicol Bolas and his, laser-like focus, it's going to lead to some more of these more constrained conversations. I mean, I've enjoyed the conversation, but as someone said, I think it's more about a study of the plane and what life was like in that period than the citizens, because the citizens were basically just a vehicle to move the plane along. They're just there to be cogs in the machine. So, but it's interesting, and it was, at least for that time, a really unique plane. You don't see that everywhere. Thank God.
Ain't that the truth? So, just because it's the one thing we've done with all of these, what, other than either winning the trial or losing the trial, what are the other everyday just dangers? Because there are other ways to die than in the trials.
True.
Yeah, you get injured in training. You could commit a crime and be imprisoned or
exiled
from the city. Yeah, if you're exiled to the wastes, that's bad.
So what's in the wastes? We mentioned this briefly.
Rogue zombies, skeletal worms,
demons,
horrors, demons. The environment itself. There doesn't seem to be any indication there's any vegetation or water. It's a desert, so
yeah, violent sandstorms.
Yeah, it's shown in some of the story articles, at least one that I can think of, that Samet and her companion, Deju,
Jeru.
Jeru, yeah, there we go.
Jeru would go outside the city just looking for stuff, and at one they had an Avon companion, and unfortunately Avon didn't make it. So just going out to check out the ruins and trying to find out anything else about your culture other than what you've been spoon-fed is a very easy way to die. And even if you did find something that was more illuminating, you'd probably be ignored or shunned by the rest of your society, or killed outright.
Yeah.
So
You'd be imprisoned in one of those creepy sarcophagi.
Buh.
yeah, they have a timeout sarcophagi. You can get placed in a sarcophagus for timeout. That's super creepy. I have found creative ways to punish Sam. I have not done that. And before
Well,
anyone
add
calls
it to the
Child Protective
list.
Service, no, I think that's probably a little too far.
Dark
Yeah,
Side is where two of my kids are right now. I don't know what y'all talking about.
But because so much, while there are other ways to die, because so many of your needs are taken care of, almost certainly you're not dying from malnutrition or lack of care as a baby or anything like that. Your lives are pretty well taken care of. It most of the danger comes from the training or purposely putting yourself in danger, like by leaving the city or being forced out.
So,
Or if you're old enough or unlucky enough to just live to the hour of devastation, regardless of where you are in your training, then you're probably going to die too. Because, as Mike put it, the gates to heaven opened up and all you got was hell, and then everybody died. So,
wait.
yay.
So, okay, what about the different races of people? Because there aren't just
Okay.
a bunch of humans.
No. You do have humans. You also have Naga. Correct?
Yes, snake people.
Yep.
So,
There
What else
are-
you got, Mike?
before we dive into the all the different ones, are they all basically the same as far as training and trials and dying stabbed in the face by a Hezeret or other ways?
Yeah.
Yes. Comparing
The ones who live in the city.
comparing to, like, last week, we talked about how there are people that follow a lot of different gods, but you also have the Leonin that aren't really beholden to any god. Here, as far as the sentient beings that live in the city, because we can't account for things that live outside the city, you don't really have much in the way of rebel factions or non-believers. When Samet was protesting the gods and saying, they're leading you down the wrong path, it's pretty well implied it's pretty much her voice. She's not leading a group of rebel vigilantes. She's like one of the only ones, if not the only. So, unlike where you've got this other race on Theros where pretty much all the Leonin are like gods, psh, we don't need no stinking gods. Humans and Naga are both pretty invested in the structure that's been established. Are there any other races?
Minotaurs and Avon.
Minotaurs. Oh, that's right.
You've got the Kenra.
Yes.
Right, Kenra, the jackal people. That's right.
Yeah, they're really cool.
There are Sphinxes.
Mm-hmm.
There are sphinxes. The sphinxes remember what happened. The sphinxes know what Nicol Bolas did.
Yeah.
The thing is, he couldn't wipe their memories because sphinx minds are really weird, and it makes them very resistant to psionic assault.
That's racist,
So
Mike.
Well, I'm sorry. If you don't like it, you can stop listening. So Nicol Bolas couldn't wipe their memories. So what he did was he cast a spell on them so that they couldn't speak anymore.
Yeah.
So they couldn't tell people what was going on.
And they don't.
Wow.
And I've heard people jokingly complain. Well, they could have just walked up to the edge of the Hekma and done a little, okay, 3 words. First word sounds like
But honestly, sphinxes pretty much on every plane are fairly mercurial in their purpose and in their motivations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on Theros, you had was it Magosi, the sphinx that was could see the future and saw the death of Daxos and told him, hey, you're going to die outside the untouched city by the hand of a loved one. He's like, what's that mean? He's like, you'll find out. So they know this stuff, but even if they could speak, are they gonna just give it to you straight?
That's a
No,
good
there's
point.
and what are sphinxes? Sphinxes are like half cats. I rest my case.
Hmm.
I live with 3 cats. You think they're looking out for anyone but number one? Do you think that they wouldn't just love to watch a little chaos unfold around them? I'm convinced that sphinxes may need to be read because they just love to watch the world burn sometimes. They don't have to do it themselves, but they're happy to go, I told you this was going to happen, but you didn't help me do anything about it. But I told you it was going to happen. That riddle I gave you 50 years ago makes sense now, doesn't it? But you didn't do anything about it.
Trying to say the sphinxes are sort of like the dolphins in the Hitchhiker's Guide that, they decide to leave, but thank you for the fish.
Never read it, but
Yes.
so the sphinxes know what's up, but even if they wanted to, they can't say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Interesting. All right. I just thought we'd cover the rest, so
Yeah.
we had all our bases
Mm-hmm.
that belong
That's
to
a good
you.
point. We forgot to do that.
So let's
I
see.
would not want to live on Amonkhet. I realized that if I did, I wouldn't realize anything was any better anywhere else. But first of all, just don't want to die. Second of all, sounds like a lot of hard work. I mean, really, it sounds like a lot of hard work.
So wait, there's
That's what I have
one...
you guys.
I'm on the wiki now. So there's the one like giant city-state that it's not
And
like
that's
just
it.
a city. It's a big ass place. Like there's the city-state. Think like the size of, I don't know, the West Virginia maybe. Maybe about that size.
I don't know if Noctimon is that big.
Look, shut up.
Okay.
I didn't say Texas. Close enough.
He's saying it's bigger than just a normal sized city.
Yeah, it's not like it's Rhode Island. It's because it's got multiple different like specific regions.
Yes. Well, some of those are inside the massive temple complexes where the trials are held.
Ah.
Like, what are some of the regions that you're talking about?
So the big city-state is called Noctimun, which I think we
Yes.
covered.
Mhm.
But we've got... let's see here. Wait a minute. Are these all out far away?
You're
These are
talking
all
about
listed...
places like
Yeah, these
like
are all listed under
Ramanapan.
the desert lands. So we've got the Great
Yeah.
Necropolis,
Mhm.
the Horn Monument, which is freaking weird, because no matter what angle you view it from, it stays the same to you.
Yeah, it's an illusion that's super, super off in the distance.
It's like Mickey Mouse's ears.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that when you watch an old Mickey Mouse cartoon. His ears are there's always 2 ears, no matter which way he's facing. Once you notice it, it'll freak you out.
Oh, I think you just ruined that for me.
So we've got Shefet, the Scouring Sands, Ramanop, the Broken Lands,
Mhm.
Ifnir, the Demon's Nest, Hashep and Ipnu, which have no other descriptors, they're just there.
Mhm.
The empty underground catacombs. I'm guessing
Yeah.
they're empty because that's where all the dead people came from, who are now walking
Mhm.
around doing all the work. And the Lazotep mines.
Yes.
But I think all of those that I just named off are actually outside of Noctimun.
Yeah, the catacombs and the catacombs are underneath Noctimon. The Lazatep mines, I don't know if they're inside the Hekma or just slightly outside the Hekma. But all those other places, yeah, they're out in the wastes. They're the remnants of ruined cities that Nicol Bolas chose not to bother with.
Well, because you really
For
only
his
need
plan.
the one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh.
Apparently there were other cities, but whenever he was cleaning house and everything, he just wiped them all out and said, I'll keep that one.
Mhm.
I can manage one.
Yeah.
Well, see, if your population gets too large and you have too many separate groups. They might start talking to each other and working together and learning things differently and then sharing notes. And then everybody gets smart. And then my whole plan goes down the toilet.
Yep.
I bet he put fluoride in the water, too. What a dick. Anyway.
Stealing everyone's vital essence.
Huh. All right. So, who wants to go live on Amonkhet?
1, 2, 3, not it.
You're not it.
Oh,
Yeah, my finger's on my nose. My finger's on my nose.
I mean, maybe nice to visit, but not to live.
Yeah, I mean, Gideon thought it was a trip for a few minutes.
Yeah, Gideon thought it was awesome.
This place is great. Don't you guys love this? Here, stab him. I'm sorry, what?
Then hold him under the water until he stops moving.
He's like, excuse me? Say what now?
Yeah, it would have been an interesting place to
And
go.
then Bantu was
visit.
like, all right, you're lost.
And the guy behind him shoves him out of the way. I get to do it. Yes.
Yeah, basically.
Gideon's like, what? But, oh. What was that, Dirk?
I'd say it's one that I think all of us kind of agree that it wouldn't be a bad place to visit, but you definitely wouldn't want to stay there. Be like, yeah, let's go look around, go do this. Just don't talk to the people. Whatever you do, don't ask for directions. Just keep
Yeah, I
walking.
mean, spend a few days exploring the city, you know, get... Mummy serves me breakfast in bed every day.
Yeah, and as soon as someone points at you and goes, it's your turn for the trials, you're like, whoop, planes walk out of this. Out later, y'all. I'm out pimping. Buh. It's Stark said in all caps in the chat, what kind of idiot gave up the chance to drown a dude?
Yeah, like I said before, on any other world, all of these people would be regarded as total psychos.
But majority rules, so...
Yeah.
So what do you think it was like before that? You think it was just like
A lot more Theros-like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you think it
Probably.
was to Theros what ancient Greece or what ancient Greece is to Theros? You think it's what ancient Egypt would have been? Just very much like that, just with gods walking around.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Day-to-day life would have been much more Theros. Life would have been much more what we recognize as normal for that classical period.
You'd have, because you didn't have the anointed everywhere, you'd have people fulfilling different jobs and different roles in society. There may have been some sort of government in place, although with the gods still there walking around and with more gods, who knows? Maybe they submitted to the gods still. Pure speculation.
You probably would have still had a human pharaoh, but maybe one who was specifically chosen by the gods for the role through some process.
Quite.
Oh, maybe that's what the ritual that he turned into, daily life was for.
Huh, could have been.
It was for selecting a ruler instead of, die.
Since I think I remember Brian saying he looked into their minds and saw a ritual that was practiced once in a while.
Yeah.
Like very infrequently, very rarely. So maybe that was to just pure speculation, of course, but that could have been to determine the next ruler.
Could have been.
Man, we started with an obituary and then talked about Amonkhet. Man,
Gosh.
this is a bummer of an episode.
Everybody else feeling good about life?
I mean, actually not terribly at the moment, but I also wasn't terribly before the episode started, so... good thing I wasn't counting on the episode to pick me up. One more time. Buh. All right, then. How about we wrap this episode up, then, gentlemen? And also
Sound
Mike.
good.
All right.
Shut up, Mike. So...
I pulled up. There's a story called "The Hour of Revelation," and it talks. It's the account of Nicol Bolas's presence on Amonkhet. The next step in the dragon's plan required self-sufficiency, a people who were willing to do the work themselves without the dragon's presence. Blah blah blah. Violent choices. Blah blah blah. Took 3 of the gods for his own. Third, he drew on the histories of the plane. There existed an elite religious ceremony. Interesting word, religious. Trials of merit, with the result being a single sacrificial champion. Every revolution of the second sun. A rare cultural cornerstone revered by both man and god, perfectly suited to repurpose for his designs.
Oh, well, so much for my theory.
Not for a pharaoh, but, still... if it's happening every revolution of the second sun, then we're talking about like every 100 years and not every other day. So, yeah. Still, even if that person was not to be pharaoh, they were probably revered above all others.
Mm-hmm. Unless you got a sweet mummy pharaoh.
Dude. Buh.
Right then.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, final thoughts?
For me, as said that Amonkhet would be a fun one. There has been points in my life where I've had a big interest in history. I'm still, even now, I have a huge interest in history. And as said, Amonkhet would be a fun one to go visit. I would love to go see the pyramids and the structures. I mean, you look at some of the art on the MTG website, and some of the art is just gorgeous to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be nice to go and walk by and the monuments and the gardens and the river and all that. But I would not want to live there long term.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
For obvious reasons that, I like not dying, one way or the other. And unfortunately, it does sound like with Bolas's second coming and everything, that he essentially swept clean the whole city and the culture and everything. So I would definitely not want to live there or go there after at this point in terms of the story. I feel like it's pretty much, as was stated, that it's now just a survivor's game of, well, I didn't die today.
Although I gotta say, as Mike had said, the Eternals are gone, but while there's still a lot of other problems there, Bolas probably doesn't care about it anymore. So
Damn.
that may be a good thing. You may actually have a chance at survival, as bad as that is, because he's not there to make sure you're dead. So,
but that's sort of my final thought on the plane, is that it would be a beautiful place to go and look at and visit, but of the planes we've covered so far, this is definitely the only gets 2 stars on my review.
Planeswalker Yelp.
Hey, this would be a great place to go. It only gets 2 stars. 2 star. It would get 5 stars for go visit it. It definitely would not get any stars for, start looking for apartments.
Gym
I'm
buddy.
gonna give it 2 stars.
Gym buddies tried to drown me today. 1 star.
Would not recommend.
Yeah. Avoid.
Because we've done Theros, Amonkhet, and it was Ravnica is what we did last time. The very first one.
The very first time we did Ravnica, and I thought we did another.
Innistrad.
Ravnica and Innistrad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was a pretty major comparison then we were talking about what we were going to do
Yeah.
last time, and we said, okay, let's do the 2 planes where gods actually, show up. So
yeah, this is of those. Oh, I feel like there's a big fight between it and Innistrad in terms of last place. But
I mean, at least an Amonkhet,
is
you
it
know
sad
you're going
that,
to work
like-
hard, and even if you die, you're going to die in the pursuit of something that you're going to die trying to make the Olympics. On Innistrad, you might just get your throat torn out by any number of monsters. Oh, good, I protected the house against spirits and werewolves and crazy angels. But I forgot about vampires and zombies, and oh my god, life here sucks.
yeah, it always makes me laugh a little bit when it's, we're not competing for first place, we're just competing for not last place.
Mhm.
In terms of places where like, nah, you don't want to go there, man.
Well, think of it from a
Go
planeswalker's
grab lunch,
perspective. From
but
a
don't
planes-
stay for
think
dinner.
about it from a planeswalker's perspective. You're looking around, you're trying to find a nice place to set up, and you're like, nope. But for one of the reasons we're doing this series, as it is there are, for every one planeswalker, there are literally thousands, 10,000s, 100,000 of people that are just born there, and that's their life. They can't leave. So, for Amonkhet, hey, you at least got a sense of purpose. Even if it turns out it was all a lie. Now you're dead.
That's my final thought.
Man, Planeswalkers work sort of like Highlanders, don't they? Sorry, not Highlanders, but you know what I mean. The Immortals in Highlander. I always found it weird that, in particular, like the MacLeod clan happened to get 100 years apart,
Mm-hmm.
and then one of their buddies that the younger one hung out with happened to also be one. It's almost like it's dependent on the story.
Weren't they aliens or something?
No, that one never happened.
Okay.
Nor did a couple of other movies happen either.
Yeah, it's the first one, and then like the TV show.
Depending on which route you want to go in terms of story, you pick one of the preceding movies and run with it.
Gotcha.
Have there been any Highlander movies past the first one? I don't think there have.
It was that TV show.
Yeah, that's not a
Yeah.
movie though. See,
But there was a movie related
No.
to that, which was just a really long episode.
oh yeah, well that's true.
Right. So
Anyway.
for my final thought, I don't know that I have much of an established final thought. As I was telling these guys earlier, my daughter got the flu this week, the actual flu, not just, oh, she's a little sick, but the flu. She's looking great now, but we got a call from school on Monday that she was sick. Carrie heard that her temperature was 104. Turned out when I picked her up, it was 100.4, which there is a difference between the two, but I did make it over there in record time, let's put it that way. And to find out she wasn't that bad off, but so we took her to the doctor, and they're like, congratulations, she's got the flu. You're my first case of strain B this year. I'm like, what do we win? And she had a fever for a couple days, but it did break, and it broke over 24 hours ago, and she has not had any fever reducer in over a day, so she should be good to go back to school tomorrow. We kept her out of gymnastics just to be on the safe side, but she seems to be doing better, and so yeah, everything's okay. But even though somebody might look at that and go, oh, well, you got to stay home with her because I cleared out some of my cases, got some other attorneys to help me out with things, it was not restful because there's a bunch of other stuff I've got going on that I needed to work on, and I was, just because I was out of the office did not mean people didn't call me all day, every day. So I've got stuff to get caught up on. So I'm honestly feeling more tired than I would have been possibly if I had gone to work. I'm not sure. So it was a little stressful, but everybody's okay. Life goes on. Yay. And luckily, Carrie had the flu shot. Seems to be fine. I never did, but I seem to be all right. picking up her prescription, Carrie was like, "You should see him if you should see if you can get the shot." And I asked them, "Can I get the shot while I'm here?" And they're like, "You can if you don't have any symptoms, and we'd be happy to take your money and your insurance's money to do that, but it wouldn't do you any good. If she's around you and you're exposed, wait 2 weeks, and then if you're not showing any symptoms, then you're good, and we can give it to you. But it's not. There wouldn't be a point to doing it now," which I appreciate their honesty. So. Okay, done. Hello?
Okay.
Did I kill the... Okay.
I was just thinking.
Mike?
Yeah, so final thought. So last weekend, I hung out with my brother Thomas, and while we were hanging out, we decided to sit down and watch the old animated Lord of the Rings movie. It was directed by Ralph Bakshi.
Yeah.
Not The Hobbit, but like the Lord of the Rings. And I was astonished, like, even just from the first 10, 20, 30 minutes of the film, at how it's very clear how much that specific movie influenced and informed what Peter Jackson did with his live action movie. Like embellished lines of dialogue, character designs, the way certain shots are set up. Like you're sitting there, there's so many moments where I'm sitting there like, hey, wait a minute. Peter Jackson. It was just really neat to see that. And it's a really cool movie. Like we also watched some of the special features. So apparently the whole thing, it was shot live action first, and then all the characters were rotoscoped.
Yeah.
Well, like the main characters were rotoscoped, and like the big crowd battle scenes, they used a different film development technique to make the footage look like a drawing. But like they rotoscoped all the characters after they filmed it, and it was made to be a 2-part movie. So the story in that movie stops right after the battle at Helm's Deep, and one of the little anecdotes they talk about in the special features was like, or maybe this was something Thomas looked up and saw on Wikipedia, but the director, Ralph Bakshi, he was just going to call it Lord of the Rings Part 1. And the studio was like, no, people won't want to go see half a movie. We can't call it Part 1. We're going to call it Lord of the Rings. We're going to call the next one Return of the King, where it picks up. And the director was like, no, they're going to go in there. If we just call it Lord of the Rings, after a certain point, after the movie has gone on long enough, they're going to think, okay, we're just going to be watching the whole story, and then it's going to end, and then they're going to be like, what the hell? And the studio was like, no, you're being ridiculous. We'll do it our way. And there was a little bit of a what the hell reaction from audiences.
A point to that, I had that on VHS when I was a kid, and the first time I actually slogged through it, because it's really long and it kind of drags sometimes. But the first time I got to the end and it ended, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, the first thing I said to my brother after it ended, I turned to him and I said, that's where they ended the story? And I really did think, because it had been going on so long and the movie was called Lord of the Rings, that they were just going to show us the whole thing. I was like, okay, here we go. All right, bring on Shelob and all that good stuff. But no. Yeah, it ended after the battle at Helm's Deep. And there was a follow-up. There was a follow-up movie, an animated Return of the King movie that Ralph Bakshi wasn't involved in, that came out later, that to actually finish the story. But they didn't try to make any stylistic connection to the movie previous. So like the character designs are different, even for the main characters.
Well, yeah, it's done more in it's by Rankin Bass, not by Ralph Bakshi.
Right. It's more like the animated Hobbit movie.
Yeah. I've actually never seen that. I love the Hobbit cartoon. I like the Lord of the Rings cartoon. I've never seen Return of the King.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I had never seen this Lord of the Rings movie before, and it was good. But yeah, there are some parts that drag on, and it's like I'm sitting here thinking, like, they compressed a lot. Like, they cut a lot of extraneous stuff, but some of these shots are just, why are we still looking at this person? Not doing anything at all. You could have saved, you know, a good 20 seconds there, my friend. It would have made a difference.
Yeah, and that first Nazgul dude
Oh, yeah.
on the side of the road
Mhm.
is way scarier in the cartoon than it was in the movie.
Yeah, and Thomas and I didn't know that. Thomas and I didn't know how the movie was produced at first. So when the first Nazgul shows up, Thomas said, like, I was thinking it at the same time, and then he said it. Did they rotoscope a horse? Just because of the way it was moving. Because there were those little quirks of how, you know, an animal actually moves
Mm-hmm.
that no one would think to animate if they were just, you know, drawing a horse.
Uh-huh. Check this out, I guess.
It's really cool.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my story.
All right, then.
All right. So did you like it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, I guess that leaves me where, hey, I do content. I do lots of content. Dear God, do I do lots of content. So of course there's the Mana Pool that you're listening to now. Hi. Hello. Welcome. Which, of course, you can watch live on Twitch or watch recorded on YouTube or listen to the audio podcast, of course. Then there's Monday Night Magic, which you can watch live on Twitch or watch recorded on Twitch and on YouTube. There is no audio version of Monday Night Magic yet, at the moment, still, because MTGcast is still, a flaming pile of rubble, but they're working on it. And they're hoping to have it functional very soon. That said, I really do doubt that Monday Night Magic's audio version, if it exists at all, I still haven't decided, is going to be the same as it was before. Because, honestly, Monday Night Magic is not necessarily part of the Mana Pool brand that I have built from the ground up. It's a thing that was sort of handed in from the side and say, here, you do this. And it's not hosted on any of my stuff. It's just sort of out there. And it's not even the flagship of MTGcast anymore, really. It's just another show. And the time and effort that goes into creating the audio podcast version of Monday Night Magic and all of that, I honestly don't think is worth my time. Because I get, other than, you know, possibly in a larger part of the audience, or a larger audience, I don't really get anything out of it myself, which sounds, you know, selfish and crappy, but this is my job now. So I'm not doing this for fun anymore. This is work. Not to say I don't still love it, but, you know. So,
Yeah.
If you do enjoy Monday Night Magic, and those of you in the Discord server that have already told me this, don't feel free to not bother repeating it. But if you're not in our Discord server and you do enjoy Monday Night Magic for what it is, let me know, so I will know what to do, because I'm really seriously considering just not fooling with the audio anymore. But if there's a big enough backlash, an idea that Squee gave me was to just release an audio rip of the video. Just lift the audio out and drop it and not do anything else to it. No music, no silence truncation, none of that. And just have that out there. And that saves all the time and effort and whatnot. It's just a lift and down and upload. So, hey, let me know if that sounds okay to you, because that means no levelation, no intro and outro music, no silence truncation, no noise removal. It's just raw audio. So, yeah, let me know. As far as I can tell, Monday Night Magic, the video version, won't change at all. Other than some tweaking here and there that we're already in the process of doing. So, just throwing that out there. This is, I mentioned this on stream last night, but this is the first time this is going out to like the wider audience. Or is this possibility here? But anyway, other than those two bits of podcasting content, that's all I do with Magic. I do lots of video game stuff on... I stream all the stuff here on twitch.tv/themanapool. Like, I stream a lot of stuff. Like a lot. And I turn a good chunk of that into episodic YouTube content for people to watch. It's edited and smaller, so it's not a 4 or 5 hour stream. It's, 30-minute video. And those go up twice a day now. I have 2 videos a day going up because I had such a massive backlog of YouTube content waiting to be edited and rendered and uploaded that if I did it one a day, I would literally never catch up and indeed get further and further behind. So I decided, let's go 2 a day. Ha! So I did. So now there's a video that goes up at 11 a.m. every day and another one that goes up at 1 p.m. every day, Eastern time. Let me know if that works or doesn't work. I can push the second one back, or I could release them both at 11, or do like 11 and 2. I don't know. Feel free to throw in any feedback you like. But anyway, so that's that. And of course, that's twitch.tv/themanapool and youtube.com/themanapool. And I desperately love doing video content. I love it so much that I really wish I had started doing video content a long time ago. But technological and financial and time limitations kept me from doing so. And that's kind of a bummer. But I'm making up for it now. With this massive amount. I spent today editing Smash Brothers videos and just loving every second of it. Not only because it was video, it was also because it was Smash Brothers. Let's be real. But for those of you worried about the mana pool, don't worry. That's not going to change. But so that's that for content. And hey, if you want to help support what I do with this frankly ridiculous amount of content creation, then by all means, become a lifeguard over on patreon.com/themanapool. There are many different tiers of lifeguard. There's, well, the basic tier that I hardly ever mention is the pool noodle, which is just any amount at all. You're a pool noodle. Hey, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Get it? Pool noodle? Mana pool? Anyway, the uncommon lifeguards get a silver name in the Discord server, the official The Manapool Discord server, and get early access to YouTube videos and Manapool episodes. The rare lifeguards get the early access to YouTube videos and Manapool episodes, as well as access to the odds and ends, all the stuff recorded before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Manapool, which is uncensored and unfiltered. Unless I screw up the recording, in which case then it's non-existent. Anyway, and finally the mythic lifeguards get the early access, the odds and ends, and the sponsorship shout out on both podcasts and the end screen of all the YouTube videos that go up each month. So I'd like to thank our mythic lifeguards, Kim Ho, Andrew Hunt, Al, Paul David, Lance Delicious, Timu Hellas Haryu, Connor Kennedy, John Morris, Alex Gonzalez, Jeff Spencer, Stuart Slaw, PJ McMullins, Sophia Brattain, Casey, Faye Says, Danny Liao, Jason Doan, Cody Buckowing, Jake Jansons, Jason Kaus, Gothic Man, Brian DeLucci, Stark Maximum, Keith Moody, John Parker, Aleph Cat, Dan Holm, Bartle, Mike Millerburn, and the Beastfather, Aaron Goodwine. Whew. Thank you all so very much for the support. I quite literally could not do it without you. And also to all of our other lifeguards and pool noodles and just everybody at all. I appreciate it so incredibly much that you guys have allowed me to chase this dream of working for myself, doing what I want and how I want, which it's that last part that is the most important to me personally. So seriously, thank you all so much for being there for me. And with that, we should wrap up this episode. Because I have 2 videos a day to start working on. By the way, for those of you listening right now, tomorrow, the videos going up are my classic run with Ryu from Smash Brothers Ultimate. Is the very first Smash Brothers thing I did on stream. So I thought, and it's where I talked about my Smash Brothers history and a bunch of stuff. So I said, why not just throw that up as a video? It'll be great. And the second video is the 3rd entry in the original Legend of Zelda run that I did, where I decided to play Legend of Zelda the week we didn't record a podcast on Thursday, and ended up just running through the whole game somehow. So that's going up on YouTube right now. And then on Saturday, it's the first World of Light episode and the next Mortal Kombat story mode. Yes. And that's all I've got. Sunday is this episode of the Mana Pool and something else. I haven't planned past Sunday yet. But anyway, so with that, we will we will speak English. With that, we will be done with the Mana Pool number 541. Thank you all so very much for watching or listening or whatever it is you're doing. Feeling? Smelling? Thank you so much for smelling. And don't go to Amonkhet. Just don't. But do go play some Magic.